He lost faith after his daughter vanished in the desert. Years later, a wild horse returned carrying her drawing. What followed shook the whole town. The wind howled through the ghost hills of Sundown Ridge. It was the kind of dry, aching wind that scraped at your bones and whispered the names of those who'd never come home. Sheriff Elias Boone stood at the edge of his porch, a rifle leaning beside the door and a hollow ache deep in his chest. His boots were dusty. His eyes, darker still, not from age, but from grief. "Ain't no use waiting," the townsfolk used to tell him. "She's gone, Elias. Desert don't return what it takes." But Elias never gave up. Not truly. His heart had just stopped hoping. Until that horse came back. A wild stallion, black as midnight, muscles torn, hooves cracked, raced through the town like a spirit. People screamed, scattered. But Elias didn't move. Because tied around the horse's saddle was a sun-faded drawing. Crumpled. Torn. But unmistakable. His daughter's drawing. The same one she made the night before she vanished, 7 years ago. 7 years earlier, Sundown Ridge was bustling with miners, traders, and drifters heading west. Elias Boone was the law and the heart of that town. A man made of iron and sorrow, having buried his wife early and raised his only daughter, June, on his own. June was wild, not rebellious, just free. She loved horses more than people, sketched sunsets in secret, and believed the desert was alive, watching, whispering, waiting. "I ain't meant to stay in one place forever, Pa," she once said, sitting on the roof with a pencil and scrap paper. "Someday, I'm gonna ride so far the wind won't know how to follow me." He'd smiled, his heart proud and terrified. Just be back before sundown. But she didn't come back. Not that day. Not ever. It was a stormy morning when June saddled up her paint mare, Whisper. Said she was going to the ridge. Just to sketch. Elias let her go, just like always. But as the sun fell behind the mountains, and Whisper returned alone, lathered in sweat and trembling, he knew something was wrong. Search parties went out for weeks. No sign of her. Just sand, wind, and silence. Some said outlaws took her. Others whispered of the hollow canyons, cursed lands said to swallow folks whole. But Elias searched it all, bleeding feet, cracking voice, whispering her name until the desert swallowed his prayers. After 6 months, Sundown Ridge called it, lost. Presumed dead. Elias never spoke her name again. Now, 7 years later, that wild stallion tore through town like a bullet. The townsfolk gasped as it skidded to a stop in front of the sheriff's office, wild eyes wide and unblinking, and Elias stepped out slowly, breath caught in his throat. Tied to the saddle horn, brittle and half-burned by sun, was her drawing, a sketch of a canyon, a campfire, and a small figure standing by a horse. And on the bottom, the letters, "I'm alive." Elias didn't sleep. He packed his old gear, saddled up his bay gelding, and left at first light. The drawing pointed toward a stretch of desert folks avoided, near the dead man's hollow, where even maps refused to mark trails. As he rode deeper into the dust, memories clawed at him. Her laughter. The scent of her mother's old shawl she used to carry. How June used to believe there was more out there than eyes could see. Each mile cracked him open. But then he found it, a circle of stones, a small fire pit, and bones of a long-dead camp. In the ashes lay another sketch. This time, it showed a cave. A hand. And a necklace he buried with her mother. He found the cave just past the ridge of the drowned moon, a slit in the rocks, barely wide enough for a man. Inside, the air grew cold. The cave was deep, twisting like a snake. Then he saw it. Her journal. Her drawings. Dozens of them. Faces. Dreams. Landscapes. A life carved in pencil and ash. And one final page, newer than the rest. To Pa. I was taken, but I escaped. I lived with the mountain people. They thought I was a sign. I waited for the right time to return. The stallion was my messenger. If you're reading this, I'm coming home. I never stopped believing. He collapsed, clutching the pages like a dying man finding water. Back in Sundown Ridge, the town stirred with whispers. The sheriff had changed. He smiled again. He cleaned the porch. He even mended the bell tower she used to ring as a child. But still, no sign of her. Until the night of the red moon. Just after sundown, a rider approached. Slim figure, cloak tattered, eyes sharp as flint. She rode a white Mustang like she was born in the saddle. And Elias stepped into the street. She dismounted, trembling. His heart hammered. Pa, she said, voice like wind through wheat. June, he whispered. She ran to him, arms thrown wide, and the town, a town built on dust, death, and drought, held its breath. Father and daughter, broken and whole again. That night, under lantern glow, June told her story. The day she vanished, she'd been ambushed by desert scavengers, a ruthless clan living deep in the canyons. She'd fought, screamed, bitten. Whisper, her horse, had escaped. But she was taken. Beaten. Chained. But not broken. They believed she was sent by desert spirits, because she could draw what hadn't happened yet. She began sketching things, storms before they came, outlaws before they struck, caves where wild horses birthed foals. She had visions in dreams. One day, she escaped. Took a wild stallion, ghost, and left drawings behind as clues, hoping they'd reach her father. Hoping the desert, once cruel, would now carry her voice. And it did. News spread fast. A girl returned from the dead. A horse delivered hope. A father's faith restored. Sundown Ridge transformed. Elias reopened the old schoolhouse June used to draw in. She taught children to sketch, to dream, to believe the desert didn't just take, it gave, too. Her story became legend. People came from towns over to hear the tale, to see the drawings. And every year on the red moon's rise, the town gathers by the canyon. A single wild stallion rides free through the town, untethered, wind-blown, proud. Elias watches from the porch, June beside him, her head on his shoulder. I thought the desert had taken you, he says. No, she whispers. The desert raised me. It taught me how to come home. And the wind carries their laughter, not the sound of grief anymore, but of grace.